So first of all, I'm Sam Varnerin. I am a professional cuddler in the Boston area. I've been doing this work for 5 years, and um, I already forgot your question. I have ADHD. What was your question?
Well, yeah, as probably many of you know, seeing this, I'm Kyle Hoffman. I provide cuddle therapy and life coaching both in Philadelphia area and remotely. And for like folks I know, yeah, Sam is amazing, and I've had a lot of different experiences with pleasure of experiences with Sam over the past couple of years or so. One of them is that she gave me some great coaching around self-care and just making my like lifestyle and like work-life balance more enjoyable. So I'm always so grateful for that. So yeah, just I know that all that Sam puts out is awesome. And Sam actually has a new book. Yeah, received that love. Sending.
Aw.
Sam has a new book coming out, and I thought a lot of you would really be interested and benefit from this. So, yeah, Sam, why don't you tell us a little about the book and who's it for? Anything you'd like to share?
That's what I was supposed to talk about. I just laugh about my when I do something funny now, or that I would normally kick myself for, so that's just fine. Yeah, so Happy While Hermiting Handbook is a book that I basically couldn't decide if it was going to be a guided journal or an actual like biography of a period of time in my life. So
Mm,
I decided to just combine the two because I figured I was writing this for people so that they could benefit from the lessons that I had the last time that I was in isolation, which was in 2019 when I was like pretty much on top of the world, feeling like I'm killing it with my career. People respect me. I have a course out. I'm doing a small group course. I have a great boyfriend, a great friend. I'm going back and forth between Philly and here to do work with clients. Things are going great. And then I tore my ACL. And for those of you that don't know anything about ACL injuries, especially a full tear, you can't really just walk that off. That's not really how that works. Like that usually, especially a full tear, in order to really recover from that, you need a full surgery, which includes getting either a donor or scraping from another muscle or another tendon in order to recreate the ACL. It's not something that can repair on its own. So, as I eloquently say at one point in the book, I literally had a major surgery where I had to get a dead person's body part put back in me to recover. Like, it's an intense experience, and most people they don't fully recover until a year after it happens. So this was end of January. This happens, and getting this news maybe about 3 or 4 weeks later, I was just like, my life is over. Like 28 years old. Like this is the year that in my head was supposed to be like I was supposed to be at like peak physical ability. Like it just goes down from hill from here. Like I'll never be able to get this kind of muscle again. All kinds of like catastrophizing you would expect from 20 something. And I'm now 30, so I know that that is very silly now. It's kind of nice to be in the 30s, but when the pandemic started and I saw the shutdowns, one of the first things that came to mind for me, it was actually on my last appointment before I shut down. I didn't know it at the time, but it was like I was driving up to New Hampshire to see a client that has had deep depression. And as I was driving up, it hit me that I was like, oh, like the entire country is beginning to shut down. It's just a matter of time. And 2 days later was when I shut down my practice too.
mhm.
But at that point, it was just like, I like if we're gone for 2 weeks, like that might affect people, but we don't know how long this is going to be. I certainly didn't know then that it was going to be 6 months long. I thought we would be done by now, but I was like, even if it's just like a month or two, like I know what happened to me during the 3 months that I was like waiting to be able to do surgery and then recovering from surgery and then going back and forth having no life really, um, coming back and forth to get treatment and physical therapy between where my parents lived and where I live in Boston. They live outside, about 2 hours away. So, and it was awful. And one of the biggest things that I saw was social skills went way fucking down. Yeah, they basically just did not exist. Like, and not even just like social skills, but like social capacity went way down.
Mm,
And that's
mm,
probably like the thing that I saw, and I was just like, I was lucky because I have training as in circling and authentic relating. So I was able to use those skills to build up quickly and like recognize for me what I needed in order to build up the reserves, because social skills are kind of like a muscle, but I never thought of it that way before. But it, it was still a long process, and arguably even when the pandemic was shutting down, I really had to think about like, okay, how am I going to do this one differently so I don't end up awful the next time. But there was also so many things that I wouldn't have learned while I was isolating, that because I had the time, I had the space, and I really could reflect on those things. And I'm really thankful for that. My year after my injury would not have been the same if it weren't for that, including my business, which, as you know, because you know about my practice, became wildly successful and had a really good run basically up until the pandemic happened. So hearing all this and realizing like, okay, a ton of people are about to do probably something very similar to what I just did last year. I know what I went through. I know now what was important to me back then, because I'm Miss Extroverted Social Butterfly normally. So I was like, even if somebody's not an extrovert, even if they're super introverted, I like purposely isolating for that long of a period of time. In the same case, like maybe not knowing how long that's going to be is terrifying. And there's a lot of like emotional duress that happens during that time. And it's also really easy to fall into bad habits, including and not limited to addictions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not perfect either. I'm not claiming to be. I still am looking at those things and learning over and over again how to address those.